I've got 10 characters. They're going to be 80 by the time Cataclysm comes out. Give us some more room, please.
Do you need 12 of them for your 12-step program?
That's what I need, yeah.
Well, I can offer you another 10 slots for $15 a month.
Our servers are home. Don't want to lose our home.
It is something that we've talked about. It's just, right now, it's not looking like something that we're going to do. That doesn't mean that we would never do it in the future, but we'll have to wait and see.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I play a warlock named Tacitus, and I had a question regarding reforging. I noticed that in our class, the dual spec, we have Mastery, which is good for destruction, and then Affliction, Haste is good. So would we be penalized by having to reforge every time we want to switch our specs?
So the gear question is an interesting one because we like dual spec, obviously, and we want players to be able to switch. We don't want to make it too easy to be able to get one set of gear and to use it for everything in the game. That kind of defeats part of the purpose of trying to get more gear. So, the answer without reforging is you get one set of gear for Spec A and a different set of gear for Spec B. It's a problem if Mastery is dramatically better for, say, Affliction than Destro or whatever, and that's just something we'll have to keep working on as we go forward. Reforging is huge. We kind of added that as a small feature early on, and it got bigger and bigger, and we kind of realized what it was going to do to the game. I think we're probably still underestimating what a big impact that's going to have. So we'll just have to see how Reforging evolves. But I think it's going to be one of those small stealth things that got into Cataclysm and ends up really changing the game, at least for hardcore among us.
All right, thank you.
My question is regarding to Cataclysm rating. What would be the incentive to do a 25-man when all of the gear in 25 and 10-man is exactly the same, other than more justice points, because why would you do something that's harder if you can get the exact same thing?
Something you might enjoy more. And I think the jury's still out on harder. It's something we're really focusing on to try to get those two balanced, and certainly is a daunting task, but we're working on it.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Jespar from Blade's Edge. My question is, I have a lot of friends who are low levels, so are you guys planning anything so me as a high level can raid, or not raid, quest with low levels? And them not get benefited, them not be penalized in any way, like experience penalties?
Well, it is one of our philosophies that we want people to be able to play together whenever possible, and we try and lower those barriers wherever we can. We've talked about systems like side-kicking systems, that kind of stuff, to where they could temporarily play at a higher level, or you could temporarily level down to their level essentially, so you could group up and do a dungeon together, and your character would behave more like at a level appropriate level. So for example, let's say you're level 80 and they're level 30, you could go do Scarlet Monastery together and your character would play like level 30, but you would actually get experience that's relevant to you at level 80 or whatever. So it's something that we'd like to do in the future. It's just not something that we've had time to do yet.
Thank you.
Hi guys, my question is, people love legendaries. They love the way they look, and they definitely want them to last longer. Would there be any way that we could trade them in for a heirloom version so that you could level up with them on an alt?
That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Be pretty awesome, yeah. At the same time, it gets a little bit dangerous in terms of really encouraging players to go back and farm old content for legendaries. We heard the other person that was just talking about whether or not they'd be able to keep farming for their warglaives. And that's cool when you do it just for its own sake and because you feel like it's fun. But if you feel like, oh, well, I really need to do this to be competitive in my level 29 battleground or whatever, that's when it starts to get a little bit sketchy.
Thanks.
I'm Raging Dawn of Measure of Faith on the Erie Peak. And I'd like to know for all of us collectors, when are we going to get a tab for our tabards?
We'd actually like to do it. It was in our plans early on. One of the reasons we didn't do it yet is because we have clickable on-use tabards. We wanted to have a drop-down, kind of like you have for titles, and you can just pick whichever one you want. We just have to solve the, how do you actually do the on-use thing at that point.
Thanks.
Hi, I've just been noticing that over Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, you did such a good job of incorporating most of the races into the activities that were happening at the time and into the lore, but the Draenei still seem stuck on their little isle over there and play almost no role throughout the entirety of Wrath of the Lich King and even into Cataclysm. Any plans to bring them out?
You're right. You're absolutely right. I think we've done a poor job of incorporating the Draenei into the WoW culture. It's something we're certainly working on, and it's better in Cataclysm, but it's not 100% there.
Thank you.
Hi. First of all, I want to say hello to my guild. Grande Concordia Dracari, Grande Sednar. And now? Yeah. And now my question about the balance between the number of Horde characters and Alliance characters, because I'm on a PvP server, and now that I'll have to level up all my characters, it's gonna be like 20 Alliance fighting against 100 Horde, and it's gonna be pretty hard.
Yeah, that comes down to that battle cry. We just need a better battle cry for the Alliance. Bolster their numbers. It definitely is a problem. It's interesting that we've seen this cultural shift in PvP towards a lot of people that are interested in PvP gravitating toward the Horde. A lot of it's just kind of all the mythos and all the, just the psychology of the coolness of the Horde or whatever. Really, making the Alliance feel proud to be Alliance is important, and making sure that we build up the Alliance as an awesome, opposition force to the Horde is going to be important to solve those things in the long run. I don't think we would want to take any really heavy-handed gameplay incentives, like we're not going to, make you more powerful if you play the Alliance or something like that. But we'll have to do a lot of little things.
Thanks.
Hey guys, this is Gautam from Burning Blade, and I have a question for all of us theory crafters. Could you make the heroic training dummy more interactive, such as you can change the stats, or you can throw up a timer, or an in-game recount, just something that we can make it more interactive and helpful for us?
Cool ideas for sure. We'd definitely like to do more with the dummies. It's just a question of priority and time and getting around to it.
Thank you.
Hey guys, how's it going? So I know that in Cataclysm, that's when we're going to get Arena and Rated Battlegrounds going again. But for those of us that are primarily PvP oriented, can we make a deal? Maybe we can get skirmishes back for Arena if we promise not to cry about how imbalanced things are?
We didn't take skirmishes out because of balance. We took it out just because we were revamping the way they work into the War Games system, and it just wasn't ready yet with the 401 patch. It's not ready until the 403 patch that we'll be seeing soon.
Thank you. We've got time just for a couple more, okay guys?
Hey guys, Hot Shot from Storm Rage. I was wondering if you were going to implement any new dance moves or a dance studio for our characters in Cataclysm?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got Goblin and Worgen dance moves that are going to be pretty awesome, and you can see them if you come to the art panel later. But yeah, we've been doing some work on that. We've got some stuff actually done for it. It's just a matter of timing now when we want to actually introduce it. And not for Cataclysm, but for sometime in the future, there will be more dance moves and the ability to customize your dances.
We need to make sure that we add a lot of new dances for the dance studio, and we've actually done some of them. And anytime our animators have some extra time when they're not working on something that's absolutely required for the next patch or expansion, they go back to doing animations for the new dances. And once we have enough of them, we'll package it all up and release the dance studio and start dancing.
Thank you.
We want it to be a cool feature too. We felt like with the barbershop, we got some cool visual customization, but there wasn't much gameplay there, and we think we could do a lot more with that, and we don't want to make the same mistake with Dance Studio.
Like adding effects with dances is something that could be kind of cool.
I'm Eben from Isera, and my question is about professions. There are a lot of recipes that you can't get because no one runs the content. Are you going to add any function, sort of like the alchemy research, in order to get these older recipes?
You mean because they're in dungeons, nobody runs the content?
Yes, like in AQ40, no one ever goes back to get those enchants, and Karazhan is almost impossible to find a group.
It's always a good question of how much to support those older, particularly the raids at the 70. If you pull everything out, there's even less incentive to go there, so then they're complete instead of being effectively dead. We could also take some of those and give you alternate ways to get them. That's a good point, though. It's something we should take more seriously.
Thank you.
But if you wait enough expansions, you will get to solo it eventually.
Hi, I'm wondering if you guys have any plans to do stuff with the Blood Elves in the coming expansions, because they weren't a large part in the Wrath of the Lich King. You had the Sunstriders with the Argent Crusade, but they didn't actually help with the whole bunch. Also, what's up with Lorthmar Thoron? Is he going to stay leader, or are they actually going to get a leader, not a regent?
Good question. So in Cataclysm, we have a new faction called the Reliquary, who are comprised of all Blood Elves. And they're supposed to be kind of the counter to the Explorers League. So you'll see a lot of those guys all over the place in Cataclysm, from 1 to 60 and through our new zones. Lorthamar, I don't know if we've released our leader stories yet, but we are absolutely trying to develop him into a more serious leadership position. We realized that we ignored him practically for much of Burning Crusade and much of Wrath, and so we absolutely want to bring him back to the forefront now that the Blood Elves are taking their energy and power from the Sunwell. So yeah.